Hey, what's up users? This is John at Muse for You, here to help you build awesome websites without code. And in this video tutorial, I'm going to go over the double panel hoverbox widget found at museforyoushop.com. Now with this widget, you can add a unique hover effect over any image on your Adobe Muse website. So you can change the color. There's two panels. You can change the color for the panels. You can add a heading text and a paragraph text here as well. And the text can change size. You can change the font for the text, and the image can be any size as well. The widget is also responsive. So here I have the widget across 3 different breakpoints. So we see that the image is responsive in width and height. And then here I've changed the layout. So we'll scroll down, and the hover effect looks good on the images. And then one more breakpoint, and there is the hover effect. All right, looks good. So in this video tutorial, I'm going to go over where to access this widget and how to use it. So to access this widget, you simply go to museforyoushop.com, and here you can click on the pop-up, and here you can click subscribe to get access to all widgets and any new widgets I come out with for $39 a year. Or if you'd like to subscribe with PayPal, you can click here and subscribe with PayPal. The double panel hoverbox widget is right here, and here you can click add to cart to purchase individually, or again you can get access to all widgets and any new widgets I come out with for $39 a year. And here we have the features of the widget. You can add multiple double panel hoverboxes on one page. You can set the image to be responsive with a built-in resize option in Adobe Muse. You can set a maximum width and a minimum width for the images. You can customize the color of the hover effect. You can set the speed of the hover effect. You can add text over the hover effect. You can set the color for the text. You can set the font size for the text. You can align the text, and you can link the image to an internal link, external link, or anchor point. And you can open the link in a new page. So those are the features, and over here to the left we have a few of the widget options. And here's the preview page. And once this video is done, the video will be posted here as well. And here is the community section. And this is the preview page that I showcased in the beginning. So I'll go ahead and jump into how to use the widget in Adobe Muse. So I'll open up Adobe Muse, and to get access to the widget, you simply go to the library panel. If you don't see the library panel, you can go to Window and click on Library. And here I'll type in double panel, and here's the double panel hoverbox widget. So I'll click, hold, and drag and place onto my Adobe Muse website. So at first it's just an empty box, and here I'll close the library panel. Here we have the widget. At first it's just an empty box, and we see these colors up here, and those are the panel colors that we have here in the effect section. So I'll go ahead and add a file. So here, select the image, and I'll select an image. Select any image here. And here we have an image. So the image will constrain to the dimensions of the image. So if you'd want the widget container or the image to be a perfect square, you'd have to crop the image to a perfect square before placing within the widget. So here we see we have a bit of white space here because the image is not a perfect square. So what we can do a few things. So we can make the widget container larger by dragging out the width, and that will take up the space there. But now we notice we have a little bit of space here, so we'll just bring that in just like that. And then we'll bring up the bottom here. So now we have the image within the widget container, and there's no space around it. So depending on the dimensions of the image, you might have to bring in the sides of the widget container so that it fits nicely around the image. And I'll go over cropping the image and then placing within the widget. Okay, so here we have the widget, and that's basically it, adding the image, making sure that all the sides fit the image nicely, and that the image is a good size within the widget. So now I'll go to File, Preview Page in Browser, and there is the hover effect. It's as simple as that, just adding the image, resizing the widget container a bit, and then you have the hover effect. Okay, and we can change the maximum width and the minimum width. This is important because, for instance, the widget is responsive in width and height, but if you wanted the image to only be a certain width, or not to get larger than a certain width, you can set the maximum width here. So for instance, I'll drag out the widget container a bit larger, and we see we have this extra space. So from here to here, it's 550 pixels. So the image will not get larger than that in width. And if I draw a rectangle, we can see that's 550 pixels, and that is the size of the image. So let's say I wanted the image to be a bit larger. I could set the maximum width to 800. And now if I drag out the widget container, I can set it to 800. So let me drag it out a little bit more. Just like this. Right, so there we see we have a little bit of space. So I can actually go into the width and height options here in Adobe Muse, and I can set the width to 800, just so it's exactly the size of the image. There we go. So here's the widget container is 800, and I'll drag this out, and it's 800 as well. Okay, so that you can play with the maximum width to set a maximum width for the image. Okay, so I'll preview in the browser, and there we can see it doesn't matter what the size of the image is, the hover effect will fit nicely over the image. All right, and it is responsive, so I can resize it and it will respond to the browser width and change width and height. Looks good. All right, so let's say we wanted to add multiple hover boxes with different color. So to do that, we can copy the widget. So I'll hit Command C to copy and then Command V to paste. And then in the widget options, I'll change the instance number and I'll change the color. Let me add some colors to the swatches here. So I'll go to my CC libraries and I'll select these colors here. I'll right click, add to swatches, and now those colors are in my swatches panel. So I'll change it here to green and yellow. We can say green and blue there. Yeah, that looks good. So I'll preview in the browser, file, preview page in browser, and there we have the hover boxes. Now you'll notice that when I resize the browser, we have all this extra space here, and this is just playing with breakpoints and changing the layout of the widgets as the browser gets smaller. So for instance, if I had a breakpoint at 600, we can see that because the image is responsive width and height, it gets smaller, and then we have all this extra space down here. So all I have to do is bring up the widget container so we can get rid of that extra white space below the image, and then I'll bring the image up and I'll preview again in the browser. So here is the 960 breakpoint. And then when we get here, this is the 600 breakpoint. So we can see the space is less and the images are closer to each other. So it's just a matter of changing the layout on different breakpoints and removing the white space from the widget container on those breakpoints. Okay, so there we have that. You don't have to worry too much about the background color because the image goes over the background color here. And you can add an alternative text, and this lets the search engines know what the image is about. So I can say image of a computer for the alternative text. And then for the link, I can link it to an external page, internal page, or an anchor point. So I'll link it to an external page. And then if you did want to know how to link it to those different sections, or like if you wanted to know how to link to internal pages, it's ./pagename.html. To external pages, it's the URL. And to anchor points, it's hashtag the name of the anchor. For anchor points, I would recommend adding the anchor point scrolling widget so that you have nice smooth scrolling to the anchors on your website if you're linking the image to an anchor point. Okay, so there I've linked to an external page, and I can open the link in a new page. So I can click here, and this will open the link in a new page. So let me just make sure here. Yep, looks good. So I'll go to File, Preview Page in Browser, and let's go to the 960 breakpoint. So if I click, we go to the page and it opens in a new tab there. Okay, so we can link the widgets there. So I'm going to go ahead and make this a bit smaller because 800 by 533 is a bit too large. So I'll go ahead and just bring in the widget like that. We'll say 400. And I'll just make it a bit smaller here, just like that. And the same for this one. I'll say 400. And there we go. Perfect. So we have the two widgets there. If I were to change the instance number of this widget to the same instance number as this, the widget that's more to the bottom of the page would take precedence. So this image here would become the colors of this one. So I'll showcase that as an example. So now both of these have the same instance number, but they have different colors within the widget. So this bottom one is going to take precedence and the colors will change for this top one. Let me preview in the browser. And as we can see, they're the color of this bottom one here. All right, looks good. So let's say I wanted to change the text yeah, we went over the color, but let's say I wanted to change the speed. So let me change this back to 2. I could change the panel 1 transition speed, so I can say 1, and I can change the panel 2 transition speed. So I'll say 1 second for the first one and 2 seconds for the second one. So you can set the speed of the hover for the panels, and we can see it's a bit slower. This one's a bit quicker, and this one's a bit slower. So you can add a custom speed for the panels there when you hover over the image. I'll go ahead and change the image here as well. You can add any image to the various hover boxes. So we'll do something like, these are all Unsplash images. You can go to unsplash.com and they have really nice high quality images. So yeah, we'll do something like this. Okay, so there we have two images. I'll preview in the browser. And there's the first image and the second image. And I can change the text for the second one as well. I can go to the text here and I'll type in double panel hover box widget. Okay, and I can change the size of the heading. 36 is pretty good and it looks good across all breakpoints. If you were to make it larger, it would become larger here. So it's in pixels. So I'll preview again. We have Muse for You, awesome websites plus no code. And here we have double panel hover box widget, and the heading is a bit larger. So I'll go over the text options a bit. So you can change the text color, you can change the heading text, the heading font size, the heading font weight. For different fonts, they sometimes have, bold, thin, and the font weight won't apply to those fonts. But for some fonts, you can change the font weight here. Anything greater than 400 is bolder, and anything less than 400 is thinner. So you can change the font weight there. And then for the paragraph font size, it's in EM. It's another measurement for fonts, and 1 EM equals 16 pixels. So here it's set to 0.9, which is about 16 pixels. And again, you can change the font weight for fonts that allow the font weight to be changed. You can change that here, and you can align the text left, center, and right within the hover box, and you can change the letter spacing and the line height as well. All right, so there we have the text options, and to change the font for the text, you can just click on the widget, and you can go to text, and then select a web font from the drop down. So I'll select a web font here for this one, and I'll click on the second widget here. I'll go to text and select a web font from here as well. So we'll do this one here. Let me zoom in a little bit. So all I did was click on the widget and go to the text option within Adobe Muse and change the font there. And let me bring in the font smoother because I like really smooth fonts. So I'll type in font smoother, and I'll bring in the font smoother light widget. All right, and then I'll go to File, Preview Page, and Browser. And if I hover, we can see the font has changed there, and the font has changed here as well. And I can place these side by side, so it looks really nice. And we have that one and that one. So you can have a lot of fun with this widget and really add a lot of styling to your Adobe Muse website. All right, so there we have it, and then we have the 600 pixels, and I'll add a breakpoint at, let's say, 480, so we can see the different layouts on the breakpoints. Okay, we have that there. We go to the 600 breakpoint. That looks good. And then we have the 960 breakpoint. Okay, so So you can have different sizes and different layouts for the different breakpoints. We can see that it's responsive width and height. We get to the 600 breakpoint, it changes size there. For these first ones, the font didn't get inherited into these. So if I preview in the browser, we notice that the fonts are different for the 960 breakpoint. And then if I resize, they're not the same here for this breakpoint. For this one, they're the same. These two, they're the same, but this one, they're not. So what you can do when working with the widget is I'll go to the 960 breakpoint. I'll just copy this widget here, and I'll change the instance number and the color so we have kind of a reference for it. And we'll do something like that. So there we have this this widget here, and I'll change the color as well to, or the image to this one here. Okay, so we have this hover box here. Now you'll notice the text option here that says format text across breakpoints. There are 4 T's, and then we have format text on current breakpoint. So when changing the text or adding the text to this hover box, you'll want to select format text across breakpoints. So when I apply this text, or when I change the text for this hover box, it'll change the text for all the hover boxes across the breakpoints. So here I'll select the widget, I'll go to text, we'll change it here to Roboto thin here. Okay, so now if I go to File, Preview Page in Browser, and here's the text, we can see that it's Roboto thin, and if I resize to the different breakpoints, I'll have to change the layout here for this breakpoint. There we go, and make it smaller here as well. Okay, and I'll preview in the browser. So let's take a look. So there we go. That's the Roboto thin font. Roboto thin and Roboto thin. So it's just remembering to format across breakpoints when changing the text for that hover box. Okay, and again, you just click on the widget, go to the text option in Adobe Muse, and select any web font from the drop-down menu. Okay, so that's changing the font there. And let's see if there's anything else here. Yeah, you can change the font size. 36 I find works really well for all breakpoints. And you can align the text to the left. So I'll take a look here. And we can see the text is aligned to the left rather than the right. I like it right for this effect, or you can say center. And let me go to the larger breakpoint here. So the text is centered there. The heading and the paragraph text is centered. And you can also align it to the right, which is it's right by default. And you can change the letter spacing. It's in pixels, so there'll be more spacing between the text. And I'm going to change it to Roboto so the text is a bit easier to see. So just Roboto regular. Okay, so there we go. Double panel, we see there's more spacing in between the text there. And the line height is for the heading, so you can change the line height for the heading. So I can say 1.5. It's an EM as well, so we don't want to add too much line height there because it could look a bit odd. So there's the line height changed for the heading. Okay, so those are the widget options. I'll change this back to 1. There's linking more info. You can change the heading font size, the paragraph font size, and for fonts that allow the font weight to be changed, you can change the font weight here for the heading and the paragraph text, and you can change the text color. So if I wanted to, I could change it to this color here and preview in the browser. And there's the color, the text color has changed. All right, so this is a really fun widget. I think it looks great with styling it or adding more information to your website in a kind of creative and with more styling there. All right, looks good. The last thing I'll go over is, let's say you wanted a certain dimensions for the hover box. Let's say you wanted a square for the hover box. What you could do is crop the image first. So you could go to a website, let's say berm.net. Yeah, the website is berm.net, and here you can drag and drop a file. So I'll just go into my images folder, and we'll drag and drop any image here. So we'll say, let's do this image here. So you just drag and drop, and then for the width, you can say 600. Actually, let me refresh that. So you want to change the width first. I want it to be 600 by 600. I want the JPEG quality to be 100%. And then I'll drag and drop the image. So it crops it to 600 by 600, which is a perfect square. And then you can click save.zip, and it'll save the zip file. And then you can drop the image into the widget. So here I'll just copy and paste one more time, and we'll say instance number 4. And for the image, I actually already have an image that's a square because I've already cropped an image. It is 600 by 600, so I'll just double click, and I'll change the colors one more time here. Okay, just like that. So there we have the hover, the panel hover. And if you wanted to, just to get creative, you could sample the colors of the image by going to the fill section, selecting the sample color tool, and then selecting any color from the image, and then adding it to the swatches panel by clicking the icon that looks like a piece of paper, and then clicking OK. So now this color has been added to the swatches panel, and I'll change it back to white here for the background. All right, so there we go, and we can see that this is a perfect square because the image is a perfect square. The image is 400, the widget container is now 400 by 400, and it fits the image. There's no extra white space around it. So I'll just go to the different breakpoints and kind of change things a bit differently. For this one, I'll change the width and height. I'll say 300 by 300. There we go, and then for this breakpoint, I'll say 300 by 300 again. Oops, changed the wrong one there. I'll say 300 by 300. All right, and let's see how this looks. So here's this one. There it is. Looks good. And then if I resize the browser, we can see it retains the width and height. Gets to this breakpoint, the layout changes. We have it here. And then I'll resize one more time. Here it is on the last breakpoint. So here I'd probably change the width a little bit because the heading gets cut off. So I would say 350 by 350, just like that. Okay, there we go. Double panel hover box widget. All right, looks good. So that's basically it for this widget. Let me just go back here. That's basically it. You can change the font, you can change the text size, you can change the text for the heading, the text for the paragraph as well. It is responsive width and height, and you can change the width and height for the different breakpoints and change the layout on different breakpoints. And you can also crop the image so that the widget container is a certain size when using the widget. So that's it for this video tutorial using the double panel hoverbox widget. And the same goes for if you go to museforyoushop.com, and I'll click on the pop-up here. The same goes for the diagonal slide hoverbox. It's very similar to the double panel. It's just a different effect, but it works the same way. It is responsive, and you can change the size on different breakpoints, change the effect, and have multiple instances on one page. As you can see, we have different colors here for the diagonal slide hoverbox. All right, so I'll go back to the shop. So I'll preview one more time here, preview page in browser, and there we have the double panel hoverbox widget. So that's it for this video tutorial. To get access to this widget, you simply go to museforyoushop.com, and here you can click on the pop-up, and here you can click subscribe to get access to all widgets and any new widgets I come out with for $39 a year. Or if you'd like to subscribe with PayPal, you can click here and subscribe with PayPal. The double panel hoverbox widget is right here, and here you can click add to cart to purchase individually, or again you can get access to all widgets and any new widgets I come out with for $39 a year. And here are the features included within the widget. Here are a few of the widget options and the preview page that I went over in the beginning, so you can kind of take a look at the double panel hoverbox. And the video will be here once I've uploaded it, and there's also a community section here if you have any questions with the widget. So that's it for this video tutorial. Again, I do this to help you build awesome websites without code. If you like this video tutorial, you can subscribe below. Also in the show more section below are links to other resources and links to museforyoushop.com. So again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video tutorial. Thank you.